Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into this explainer all about taking back control from daily stress and anxiety. We're going to do something a little different today. We'll actually follow a stressed out stickman through a typical chaotic day to see how introducing just 6 incredibly simple science-backed habits can completely flip the script on a stressful routine. So if you've ever felt like anxiety is just, driving the bus, it is time to take the wheel back. Let's jump right in. So, first off, does this overwhelming feeling look familiar? I mean, we've all been there, right? Like our little frazzled friend here. Sometimes stress just hits a whole new level. You might feel totally crushed under this massive, never-ending to-do list, or maybe you get this sudden, intense wave of panic just thinking about a presentation you've got to give. Or, hey, maybe for you, it's just this constant, relentless hum of anxiety playing in the background 24/7. When you are in that state, even the absolute simplest tasks feel completely impossible because your mind is just totally maxed out. And listen, I really want to validate that for you. It is entirely normal to feel that way. But the really good news, we definitely don't have to stay stuck there. Okay, let's dive right into this with our very first habit. We're starting first thing in the morning, right when you wake up with a totally clean slate. Now, I'm sure you've heard all about the amazing benefits of meditation, right? But honestly, when you know your day is about to be an absolute marathon, the idea of sitting perfectly still for an hour is just, well, it's completely intimidating. So don't do that. The secret sauce here is to start extremely small. I'm talking just 5 minutes. Set aside 5 minutes every morning for some mindfulness meditation. That is literally it, 5 minutes. Then, once you've totally mastered that and it feels like second nature, just add 5 extra minutes the next week. By taking it in these tiny, bite-sized steps, you're setting yourself up for actual, sustainable success way before the day's chaos even kicks in. And the neuroscience behind this little morning habit, it is just absolutely fascinating. So neuroscientist Galdis Bordas ran this fMRI study that revealed something mind-blowing. When subjects actually learned to meditate, the activity in their brains physically changed. And here's the kicker. Those changes stuck around, even when they weren't meditating. Bordas looked at their brain activity not just on the meditation cushion, but afterward, while they were doing normal, everyday stuff. The scans showed these altered activation patterns that lasted the whole entire day. This was actually the very first time this kind of permanent change was spotted in the amygdala, which, if you didn't know, is basically your brain's command center for stress and emotion. So those 5 minutes of morning quiet time, you're literally rewiring your brain to stay chill later on, even during that awful commute or crazy meeting at the office. All right, fast forward to the middle of the day. Actually, I want you to check in with yourself right this exact second. Are you slouching, hunching over your phone or your keyboard right now? Look, we are all guilty of the midday slump. But there's this really fascinating study from the Journal of Behavior Therapy and Experimental Psychiatry that shows simply sitting up straight can have a massive impact on how you feel. This preliminary study basically found that adopting an upright posture boosts positive vibes, cuts down on fatigue, and even reduces self-focus in folks dealing with mild to moderate depression. It's a total game changer. So the big takeaway here is if you're feeling sluggish or totally unfocused at your desk, try this out. Force yourself into perfect upright posture for just 3 minutes. Seriously, just 3 minutes. Watch how your energy shifts. Now, if you're still completely exhausted after that, well, you might just need a nap. So as the workday rolls on, stressful stuff is obviously going to pop up. And usually when we get stressed, we get super discouraged, which just makes us feel even more stressed out. It's this awful vicious cycle. If you just sit there stewing in your own worry, the anxiety just snowballs. But there is this brilliant mental pivot you can pull off here. Psychologist Kelly McGonigal, in her awesome book, The Upside of Stress, says we should actually reframe that stressful event as a challenge. And get this, preliminary research shows that people who use this specific mindset actually deal with fewer stressful events overall, and they suffer way fewer negative health impacts. You're basically using your stress response as an opportunity to level up. Think about it like this. What if you looked at your stress as an old friend who just needs a little talking to, or maybe just needs to be calmed down? If you actually talk to your stress, you might realize it's not the enemy at all, but just a slightly annoying companion that you can totally manage. Okay, the workday is finally over. You're home, and it's time for the evening routine. And yeah, unfortunately, that means chores. But believe it or not, washing the dishes can actually be the secret, powerful weapon for your mental health. I know, it sounds crazy, but researchers at Florida State University wanted to figure out which daily activities actually bust stress. They studied 51 students and found something wild. The students who washed their dishes mindfully saw a 27% drop in nervousness. I mean, 27%. That is a massive reduction from just scrubbing plates. Meanwhile, the control group, the ones who just wash dishes normally while zoning out, they got absolutely zero positive effects. So how exactly do we pull this off? And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept of mindfulness. To wash dishes mindfully, you've got to completely anchor yourself in the present reality of what you're doing. You need to be super aware of your senses. Actually smell the soap. Feel the exact temperature of the warm water on your hands. Really notice the weight and the texture of the glass as you're, scrubbing last night's lasagna off of it. Grounding yourself in your immediate physical environment like this literally yanks your brain right out of those exhausting anxious loops. In fact, going back to that Florida State University study, they found that this mindful approach didn't just drop nervousness by 27%. It actually boosted mental inspiration by an incredible 25%, just from doing the dishes. All right, chores are done, and it is finally time to unwind. And guys, never underestimate the immense power of a really good warm hug. That awesome, loving feeling you get when you hug, kiss, or hold hands with someone, that is entirely driven by some deep chemical reactions in your body. Studies actually show that when we engage in affectionate touch, our bodies just flood with endorphins, those amazing, relaxing, feel-good chemicals. And at the exact same time, the release of cortisol, which is your body's main stress hormone, is massively slowed down. So endorphins go way up and cortisol goes way down. It's a win-win. The next time you have the chance to hug someone you love, just go for it. You'll both feel so much better. And hey, if you're flying solo right now, no worries at all. Believe it or not, giving a giant stuffed animal a tight squeeze triggers those exact same comforting, stress-busting responses in the brain. How cool is that? And finally, the day is winding down, which actually brings me to a super important question. What time is it where you're watching this explainer? Because if it is past your bedtime, I'm going to need you to go to sleep the absolute second this is over. I mean it. Getting enough sleep is absolutely crucial for our mental health, and skipping it, that will just wreck your anxiety levels. Research shows that when you are sleep deprived, it actually cranks up your brain's anticipatory reactions. Basically, your exhausted brain gets trapped in this endless what-if loop, desperately scanning for threats and problems for the next day. That skyrockets your baseline anxiety before your alarm even goes off. So, check the clock right now. You've got to make going to bed on time a rock-solid, non-negotiable daily habit, not just something you do when you feel like it. And there you have it. Fast asleep, totally calm, and ready to absolutely crush tomorrow. We just walked through 6 super effective, completely science-backed habits together. Starting with those 5 tiny minutes of meditation, utilizing that upright posture to beat the midday slump, reframing your stress as a fun challenge, washing those dishes mindfully, getting in some physical touch, and fiercely protecting your bedtime. Now listen, you do not have to do all of these at once. In fact, please don't. It's way better to just build up to it slowly. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. Which one of these habits are you going to start tonight? Remember, whatever you're going through, you are not alone in this stress and anxiety. Taking small, actionable steps like these puts you right back in the driver's seat. So, pick your first habit, give it a shot, and I will catch you in the next explainer.